Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Progressive Discussions. This is Progressive Discussions, and we are coming to you live from the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey. It happens to be after, I think a week and a half of overcast, freezing rain, damp, gloomy, gothic weather with no sun, which I happen to love. We finally have sunshine, bright, sunny, clear, and dry. It happens to be Saturday, March the Toid.
The Toid.
The Toid.
Yeah.
3rd, actually. March the 3rd, 2012. And welcome again to another a very informative, very enlightening, scintillating, titillating,
yes.
action-packed,
all of that.
Progressive discussions, because we do not rehearse anything. Everything's ad-libbed. Everything is how it comes, you know? It's like the roll of the dice. We don't plan on anything. We do have a general theme, you know. Anyway, being that it's now March, once again it is time for me to endorse XavierGifts.com, which is the finest in Irish imports. Okay, St. Patrick's Day, I believe, is March the 17th, right? The countdown to St. Patrick's Day, and we usually begin that when we do the March shows, and it is March. So go to XavierGifts.com. That's www.XavierGifts.com, XavierGifts.com, for the finest in Irish imports. And if you want to purchase an authentic blackthorn weapons-grade Irish shillelagh imported from Ireland, like I use every week, that you see me waving around, you can go to XavierGifts.com and you can email Patty and tell her that James P. Madonna of Megalife 21 sent you, and you can get one for yourself. This is the I love to wave it around. It helps me emphasize many things. Okay, it's like an Irish gavel. Anyway, I would like to dedicate this week's show as a memorial to the sudden, untimely death of Davy Jones of the Monkees. Passed away recently of a heart attack. Poor Davy Jones of the Monkees. Did they announce the autopsy report on Davy Jones? No.
He was news for one day, and that's it.
Yeah, and that was it. I mean, the poor guy. I mean, as opposed to Whitney Houston. Now, my grandmother used to say, famous deaths always come in threes.
That's what they say.
Now, have you heard of a famous third death yet, or no?
Well, we got Whitney Houston and we got Davy Jones.
We got Davy Jones. I like the Monkees.
Well, this was an opportunity for Mr. Mickey
Dolenz?
Mickey to go on some shows and yak about his, the career.
Give because they've
a little FaceTime for Mickey,
for Mickey Dolenz. Now they've been doing some bios on cable TV on the Monkees, and I watched it, and and I'm sure Mickey will be making more public appearances.
He wears a hat.
Peter Tork, no, that's Mike Nesmith.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, he was.
I don't even know if he's alive. Is Mike Nesmith still alive?
Wait a minute.
Peter Tork
was
the blonde-haired guy with the dimples. He's still alive. He was talking on the bio. Mickey Dolenz is still alive and kicking.
He's little chunky.
He's chunky. He's puffy.
It was Mickey.
But you can see the Mickey Dolenz face never changes. He's doing fine, I guess. And I don't know about Mike Nesmith. Mike Nesmith, I think, was the lead guitarist, and he was the brains behind the bunch.
He wore the cap.
The cap. He had the knitted hat with the pom-pom on top.
Right.
Even though they were in Los Angeles, the guy wore the... like on South Park, he had the knitted hat with the pom-pom. But he seemed like he was the brains behind the whole group, because every time he talked, he talked very intelligently, and he was a great guitarist. So I don't know if he's alive, but I know Peter Tork is alive, and of course Mickey Dolenz. But anyway, I like the Monkees, even though some people I know said it was a little too psychedelic and drug-induced. The show was a little wacky.
It was camp. That's what it was. Camp.
What's camp?
Camp is funny in a stupid way.
It's very silly.
That's camp. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like very silly.
Very campy.
Very stupid, silly show. But that was the 60s. I mean, you had the Partridge Family. You had all these other shows. And, you know, I was watching the old Batman series on cable, a station called Hub. And I was watching Batman, and man, it is still funny. Even though, you know, Adam West is like, he overacts. He's corny, like William Shatner. It was fun. The whole show was corny and silly and low budget, but that's what made it so funny. And then I watched the Three Stooges on Antenna TV at 3 a.m. The Stooges went on, and they, of course, were way ahead of their time. But they don't make them like that anymore, man. Comedy, you know. I know the Stooges had vaudeville, a vaudeville background. But there was nothing like them. Abbott and Costello with their routines, Laurel and Hardy, you know what I mean? Marx Brothers, the list goes on and on. But anyway, let me get to the nitty-gritty of...
nitty-gritty dirt band.
Yeah, of our show here. Anyway, did I salute in memory of Davy Jones? I salute in memory of... This is not a... I'm not using this for good luck, obviously. I'm using this in condolence to the family and the memory of Davy Jones of the Monkees. Here to you, this is for you, Davy Jones of the Monkees.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, and hopefully you are in a much better place than this.
Well, he's in the dirt, man.
Yeah, well
he's in a casket. You know?
Yeah, well, eventually everybody who ever lived will be resurrected, and if they are saved, they will be in sort of in a paradise compared to what we have now, right? Huh?
I wonder if anybody has ever done an investigation or something. Do caskets actually do they break down or no? They're metal.
If you're rich, I'm sure the casket. That if you're rich, you're going to be in a mausoleum. You're not going to be buried, most likely. But nevertheless, look, no matter how you shake it, whether you're cremated, whether you are embalmed like a mummy, whether you are turned into a huge hunk of beef jerky, whether you are ground into sausage, into sausage, whether you are buried in the ground, 6 feet under, horizontal, vertical, or if you're a corporatist American two-party system politician, you are screwed into the ground, most likely. Especially if you're a conservative, you are screwed into the ground, and or in a mausoleum. I don't care if you're in a gold-plated, electro-gold-plated, or silver or solid gold casket. I don't care how you shake it. Dead is dead. Even if you're buried in a Rubbermaid or Tupperware casket where you burp the air out, death is death, and the resurrection is the same no matter how they prepare you. I don't care what they do, the funeral home, and how much money you spend on a funeral. Dead is dead, whether it be in Potter's Field, whether you're cremated and the ashes are thrown overboard a cabin cruiser, into the wind, doesn't matter. No matter how you shake it, death is death, and the resurrection is the resurrection, and that is it. And Judgment Day is Judgment Day. All right. So even though you people might feel comfort if you're rich in spending a fortune on a funeral, well, you know what? Doesn't change things. All right, now, I don't mean to be macabre, but I want to salute.
Macaw or macaw?
No, not macaw. Macabre.
Funny.
As in macabre. I want to salute, before I begin the show, I said it last week for the first time, I am very proud to be a member of a brand new, exciting group on Facebook called Honest Craft Beer Reviews. It was founded by Mr. John Starodumsky of Honest Craft Beer Reviews. It's one of a kind. Honest Craft Beer Reviews is a place where only the finest and most expert connoisseurs on microbrew, high-quality craft beers, old world style beer, and they give their honest opinions, their honest critiques. They pull no punches, no holds barred opinions. Nobody's paid off, nobody's bribed and sent cases of beer to give a fake lying review. They are honest reviews on the elixir of life, a substance that has been around, I believe, for 5,000 years. I think it started in Egypt, the brewing of cerveza or beer. And this is not the mass-produced, chemical-laden garbage that you see on primetime TV, your Budweisers and your Coors and all that crap.
Bud has a new beer.
American crap. This is microbrewed, old-world style, craftsmanship, craft beer, the way it ought to be, okay? And you are getting the finest opinions from the greatest beer experts and connoisseurs on this planet, okay? Honest craft beer reviews, and I salute the group. Okay, what were you going to say about...
I just said that Bud has a new beer. Don't ask me the name, it escapes me.
Well, being that I don't pay any attention to Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, I wouldn't know. But I will be doing a show. I will be interviewing Mr. John Starodumsky on the Mega Life 21 Hard-Hitting Truth segment that I will call Honest Craft Beer Reviews. And I will be doing it in the near future, very near future, for the first time. And it will be on the internet, and I can't wait to do it. And then there's another expert who is currently in Europe right now on a beer
junket
tasting tour or some kind of a beer tour in London or somewhere in Europe, and I will be interviewing him as a second guest. I would like to say hi to Mr. Red Rooster, my friend, who is also on the Meal Ticket Indian and Persian Club group that I started, and also he is on Honest Craft Beer Reviews and is also an expert in beer. I would like to say hi to Mr. Red Rooster from the ocean state of Rhode Island. Okay, now, capitalist corporatism, which is what the right-wing Republicans just love and endorse, has infected or poisoned Greece. And I guess they want to do the same thing to the European Union if the European Union allows them to. Greece is in bad shape. They want to privatize absolutely everything in Greece, don't they, Dr. Bill?
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work.
Because they have to pay back the banksters.
Yeah. Oh, that's the extortion that what is it, the World Bank?
Well, yeah, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, they're all in there, you know. And the banksters, they want their money. And they lend Greece money.
Right.
Now they want their money.
Like a loan shark.
Now Greece, just like Iceland, should tell them to go take a walk, go to hell.
Well, the Greeks sound pretty tough because they were...
Oh, the Greek people, but not the... they put in some stooges.
Yeah.
You know, in the government.
Yeah.
The government is going to pay the banksters.
Well...
And take it from the poor and the people.
I look up to any country that tells American corporatism to go fuck themselves, to go to hell. I look up to any country that says no to the evil, greedy, wicked Monsanto, and that's my next subject. The evil corporation Monsanto is trying to control the world's food supply, And what they've done was, so far, since the turn of the century, 75% of the planet's original crops are no longer available and are no longer grown in mass quantities because Monsanto has confiscated all the seeds and is trying to replace all of the original seeds with their genetically modified sterile seeds and force farmers to buy from them every year. Every year. And they're also pushing their Roundup Ready herbicide, which kills off all other crops except their very own genetically modified produce. Nice racket, Monsanto. Monsanto also is responsible for producing every bad chemical known, from Agent Orange to the recombinant bovine growth hormone for dairy cows, and the list goes on and on and on and on. It's a bad company. They want to control the world's food supply, just like some corporations are trying to control the world's drinking water supply, as in the aquifers, right?
Yeah.
Spring water, like T. Boone Pickens was trying to do in America. Mr. Green, Mr. Windmill was making nice with everybody. Well, he's, you know what? He who makes haste to be rich shall not be innocent. And he's an example. But this is what Monsanto's trying to do. Pretty serious stuff, Dr. Bill.
Absolutely.
Now, Reagan, I hear, allowed, back in the 80s, Ronald Reagan allowed the patenting of nature, which includes genetically engineered animals and microbes and even germs. Anything genetically modified or genetically engineered, the Reagan administration allowed, because of the persistence of these greedy corporations.
Lobbyists.
The lobbyists. He allowed the patenting of Mother Nature. Who ever heard of such a preposterous thing as to patent Mother Nature?
Who ever heard of such stupidity? But there it is, in black and white.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you describe that?
How do you describe it indeed?
Yeah, you're supposed to be able to describe your invention, to patent it.
Well, at first the judge said, no, how could you patent a microbe? How can you patent something from nature? But because of their persistence...
In finding a friendly judge who was paid off.
Paid off, right,
or
right.
given political... See, what was it? 95% of all judges are now elected. So, you know, you give them political campaign money and, hey, you got a friendly judge.
You're trying to say their palms are greased?
Yes! Something else should be greased on them.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, you're right about that. But, all right, so what do we got here for the first article?
First one is,
I'm sure there are some dandies there because it looks like it.
Well,
it looks like it.
We got our old friend here, Mr. Limbaugh, in trouble.
Oh, Limbaugh. I haven't heard from that fat, greedy corporatist in a long time.
Stepping into an emerging culture clash over women, President Obama made a supportive phone call on Friday to a law student who testified before Congress about the need for birth control coverage, only to be called a slut by Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, and Rush Limbaugh never tried to get a little action on the side in his life. Yeah, right, like when he went to the Caribbean and tried to pick up little boys, right? Remember that?
He's a drugster. Too.
Right, what about
that?
What about the...
He should be in jail.
He want the little boys, the young boys in a Caribbean country, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Obama, it was a plunge into the latest flare-up on social issues. Democratic office holders and liberal advocacy groups have accused Republicans of waging a war on women because of the greedy old party's stances on contraception and abortion rights.
Yeah, it's Grand Old Party, but we changed the name.
And Limbaugh's remarks on his radio talk show, were seen as an escalation. In addition to her call from the president, the third-year Georgetown University law student Sandra Fluck was backed by members of Congress, women's groups, and the administration and faculty at her Roman Catholic college.
What does she say? She doesn't give a fluck about the whole subject?
Demands for Limbaugh's sponsors to pull ads from his show rocketed through cyberspace. Quicken Loans and betting retailers Sleep Train and Sleep Number bowed to the pressure. Obama considers Limbaugh's remarks reprehensible, said White House spokesman Jay Carney. He said the president called Fluck to express his, and that's how she pronounces her name.
Fluck?
Yeah, because I saw the interview.
Now, if she was Donald Duck, she would be obscene.
It's spelled
Fluck.
F-L-U-K. You would think it would be Fluke, but she pronounces it Fluck, so
Fluck?
she should know her own name.
Is she a good, did she tell Rush Limbaugh she was a good fluck?
No, but Rush Limbaugh called her a slut and a prostitute, and she wants to get paid for sex and
Really?
this, that, and the other. Oh, he went into a big spiel.
Interesting, because conservatives, no matter how rich they are, they don't want to contribute to anybody who is not an elitist. They're that stingy. They don't. Look, Chris Christie closing down Planned Parenthood clinics, food pantries.
And
Yeah,
things for the disabled.
disabled people.
Yeah.
They don't want to fund anything for the little guy or the people that are poor and needy. You know, they don't care.
Well, what did Herman the Hurricane say? If you're poor, it's your own fault.
What if you're rich by...
You don't have a job, it's your own fault.
What if you're rich by getting breaks and knowing the right people?
Like Mr.
Or being born with a silver spoon in your mouth?
Like Mr. Mitten Romney?
Mitten, yeah.
Of course, on the stump, he's out there touting that he had jobs
Really?
when he was young. Yeah, that'll be the day that any rich guy's son gets jobs.
He didn't have jobs.
What was he, an intern?
Yeah, he had a lot of jobs, like G.W. Bush had
Right,
jobs.
exactly.
Silver spoon kids have jobs.
Right.
And they actually work? Yeah, sure. Continue.
Anyway, the president called Fluck to express his disappointment that she has been the subject of inappropriate personal attacks, and to thank her for speaking out on this issue. The fact that our political discourse has become debased in many ways is bad enough, Carney said. It is worse when it is directed at a private citizen who was simply expressing her views. Obama reached Fluck as she was waiting to go on MSNBC's Andrea Mitchell reports. What was really personal for me was what he said to tell my parents that they should be proud. And that meant a lot because Rush Limbaugh questioned whether or not my family would be proud of me. By calling Fluck and injecting himself into the Limbaugh controversy, Obama sent a message to more than one law student. He was reaching out to young voters and women, two groups whose support he needs in his re-election year. He was underscoring that the White House, despite bungling its rollout of the birth control policy, sees it as a winning issue and welcomes Obama's name next to it. Fluck was given a chance to talk to Congress on February 23rd, even though lawmakers were on a break, and just a few Democratic allies were on hand to cheer her on. The previous week, a Republican-controlled House committee had rejected Democrats' request that she testify on the Obama administration's policy requiring that employees of religion-affiliated institutions have access to health insurance that covers birth control. Republicans have faulted parts of Obama's health care reform as unconstitutional, including an initial requirement, since withdrawn by the president, that contraceptives be covered under the insurance policies of businesses, including those with religious affiliations. Fluck said that Georgetown, a Jesuit institution, does not provide contraceptive coverage in its student health plan, and that contraception can cost a woman more than $3,000 during law school. On Wednesday, Limbaugh said of Fluck, "What does it say about the college co-ed who goes before a congressional committee and essentially says she must be paid to have sex? It makes her a slut, right? It makes her a prostitute. She wants to be paid to have sex." He went on to suggest that Fluck distribute sex tapes of herself.
Yeah, I bet he would enjoy that.
Well, not if he enjoys little boys.
Maybe he goes both ways.
Well, he was married, 3 times already?
You know.
Or you could call them marriages anyway.
Maybe his name is Rush because he's got that.
He's a premature.
He's a premature ejaculator.
If we are going to pay for your contraceptives and thus pay for you to have sex, we want something for it, he said. We want you to post the videos online so we can all watch.
I'm sure he would like that in his collection.
The backlash began quickly as scores of Democratic members of Congress denounced Limbaugh and urged their greedy old party colleagues to do likewise.
Pervert.
The Republican Speaker of the House, John Weeper Boehner,
Crybaby Boehner?
Crybaby Boehner,
Boehner?
Responded through a spokesman. The Speaker obviously believes the use of those words was inappropriate, but so is trying to raise money off the situation.
See how quickly conservatives and Republicans are forgiven?
Yeah, but wait.
For their dirty deeds?
Wait.
I'm waiting.
I can assure you, Mr. Boehner
is
going to get some fallout from Mr. Limbaugh. Because Mr. Limbaugh is a big shot in the Republican Party.
He's a blowhorn.
And he has quieted others when they spoke out.
It's not over.
Not over. Like Casey Stengel used to say, ain't over till it's over.
No, that was Yogi Berra.
Where did Casey come into my head?
No, Yogi Berra.
Yogi Berra. It ain't over until it's over.
Till the fat lady.
Ain't all over until the fat lady sings.
Yeah.
The Speaker obviously, later, wait a minute. The Speaker obviously believes the use of those words was inappropriate, but so is trying to raise money off the situation, said Boehner, aide Michael Steele. Later, Representative Darrell Issa, Republican of California, chairman of the committee that blocked Fluck's original testimony, issued a letter repudiating Limbaugh's comments, but also excoriating the Democrats and their supporters. I ask that you join me in a broader condemnation of the attacks on people of faith and the regrettable personal attacks that have come from individuals on both sides of the issue, Issa wrote to Representative Elijah Cummings, Democrat, Maryland.
Cummings?
Cummings.
Cummings or Cummings?
Cummings. Cummings, baby.
Wow. Man, Rush Limbaugh, they sure are judgmental, these Republicans, aren't they?
Well, what he does is he distracts you like the magician. War on religion is not the issue, and neither is this young lady.
Correct.
Okay? The issue is that let's say you are the Catholic Church.
Right.
And you wish to buy a hospital and administer the hospital. Well, your hospital has to provide insurance for your workers.
Mm-hmm.
So you, as a religious organization, cannot come up and say, well, I'll give you health insurance, but I ain't paying for your contraception. I ain't going to allow it to, have abortion included in it. Well, you just can't do that. That's against our labor laws,
Mm-hmm.
you see. But that's what they did. They turned it into a war on religion, like they do every Christmas, you know?
Yeah.
A war on Christmas, like Bill O'Reilly all the time
Yeah.
says.
And now
It
you
has
have
nothing to do with that.
and now you have that zealot, right-wing fundamentalist, zealot, religious nut Rick belongs in a sanitarium, Santorum, questioning the nerve of him to be so judgmental and question Barack Obama's relationship with the Lord, you know, his Christianity, and like Rick Santorum has a bat phone and a stovepipe to God himself, like they all think they do, the right wing.
Yeah,
The nerve to think.
when in fact 99% of all of those calling them Christians can be questioned
Sure,
because they're not biblically oriented.
they don't know anything about the God of the Bible.
Exactly.
Because if they did, the rich would give to the poor all the time.
Well,
Because
you
the
wouldn't
Bible,
have
the
to-
Bible tells the rich to give to the poor and help
You
the
wouldn't-
poor all the time.
You wouldn't have to have the rich give to the poor because the poor wouldn't be poor.
There won't be poor in the United
That's
States.
correct.
Because the wealth, the natural resources and wealth of America and the planet Earth would have been evenly distributed like God commands. So you wouldn't have a homeless guy living in a refrigerator box and eating in a soup kitchen or whatever. You wouldn't have that situation.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have this outsource job dilemma, you know, with no jobs and people losing their homes.
And you wouldn't have for the last 30 years all decisions made by the government and etc. to upload the money to those on the top.
The siphoning up of the wealth.
Correct.
Not trickle down never happened. That's a lie. Siphoning up of the wealth.
It was
You know,
all given to them.
Santorum does not speak for God, and neither do any of the right-wing Republicans. You have a small article before your lunch, or is it not that small?
All right, I got a small letter here.
Small one.
Small letter.
All right, bang it out.
This particular article says gasoline prices were going up because of consumer demand. That's not correct.
That's dishonest when you think about it.
Gas demand has fallen by 9%, and oil imports have dropped 31% since 2005. In fact, Americans used 2.8% less gasoline last year than in 2010 because of a weak economy, aging population taking shorter trips, and greater fuel efficiency. We actually have a larger daily supply of gasoline this year as opposed to last year. 28.2 days in 2012 versus 27.2 days in 2011. So consumer demand isn't the cause for the higher prices at the pump.
No, it's greed.
That is correct.
It's greed.
That is correct.
Well, traditionally, when the weather gets nicer, they always raise the price of gas. That's why if you go to Florida, the price of gas is always consistently much higher than gas in the north, here in the northeastern New Jersey, where we come from.
But that occurs later in the year.
But that occurs later,
You know, like July.
when vacation times start kicking in.
Yeah.
They exploit the situation. That's how capitalism is. They exploit the situation.
Oh, that's another example of uploading the money to those who
Yeah.
already have.
You know, buy low,
Isn't it?
sell high, all that stuff. Supply and demand, all that crap. You know, let the buyer beware, which means deregulation of businesses.
Oh, let the buyer beware is just another protection for the seller,
Yeah.
the corporation.
Sleight of hand, like you were saying before, like the magician. The right wing uses sleight of hand. They distract you from the pinpointing the source of the real issue, the real cause of the issue. They want to take you away from that because focusing on the real cause of the problem has them in the
At a
middle.
disadvantage, yes.
Has them the conservative corporatists right in the center of the bullseye, and
Yeah.
they don't want you to see that.
Exactly.
Okay, now you done with that article?
Yeah.
Wow, that was quick. Okay, now we're going to break for lunch because, hey man, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman needs his sustenance, his nutrition,
His pasta.
his gastronomic delight known as lunch, followed by high green tea. But we'll be right back with promo and other tidbits that we do while he eats. You sound like a friggin' cow chewing his cud. Your gums are flapping, and you know who used to talk about that? Oh, that was Red Fox. I think it was Red Fox on Sanford and Son. He was telling, I don't know if it was, I don't know who the hell it was. Maybe it was Lamont yelling at his father, Fred Sanford. Why you got to make the smacking sound while you eat? You smacking your lips. Why do you got to make those annoying smacking sounds?
Because it's good.
That senior citizens often make.
Ah.
They keep on smacking their lips as they're eating. You know, that very annoying smacking sound.
Maybe because they have dentures, you know.
That could be it. You know. But you're in your prime, man. You ain't got no freaking dentures. But anyway, you're eating. Well, I'm sure I make a certain amount of noise when I eat too. You know, like if I'm having pork rinds, of course I'm going to be crunching away. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. We're on the air. We're back, of course. Now it's time for promo. While the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is eating his lunch, his gastronomic delight. Excuse us here if you hear like a lot of talking in the background, female talking. Our staff has another one of their meetings, so please forgive the noise. What are you going to do? But at least we're a busy, thriving organization here at the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey. This gentleman next to me, right here, is a self-portrait. It is a watercolor painting, a portrait of my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, because the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman happens to be a fine watercolor artist. The William J. Eisenman collection of fine watercolor art can be seen on the internet by going to Google or YouTube and typing in William J. Eisenman collection, and if it doesn't come up, put in Megalife 21. Also, if you like something you see, of course you can go to newslettercensored.com, you can go to the William J. Eisenman Facebook profile, and if you see something you like, send the Reverend Dr. Bill an email and ask him if the painting is still available, and if it's still available, the bidding starts at $500 each. Make him an adequate gift to support this work, and you will get with your painting, which is painted and signed by William J. Eisenman himself, PhD, and you will get a free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored, which is my next promo. This is what started it all. This is the backbone of our organization. This is the very foundation of our organization. This is the very best way to be a part of our organization. This is the best way to join our organization, is to get your free annual subscription to this newsletter, Newsletter Censored, with your gift to support this work. There's nothing else out there like Newsletter Censored. This is the underground media. This is a fountain of hard-hitting truth and information that you will not hear anywhere in the mainstream media or read in the mainstream press. This is the type of information that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? Okay, it contains the 5 taboos of American life, which is politics, religion, health, human sexuality, and child rearing. It contains, this happens to be the last issue, volume number 118. Yes, there's been that many newsletters censored. Founded in 1977 by the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. It starts with the political analysis. This one is titled Without Natural Affection by William J. Eisenman, Ph.D. Sometimes it's followed by tidbits, which is current news topics, if there's room. In this case, it is followed by The God Project by William J. Eisenman, Doctor of Divinity, where the Reverend Dr. Bill tells you what the Bible really has to say, not what right-wing fundamentalist Republican
and Rick Santorum
zealot Rick belongs in a Santorum tell you what the Bible says. Counterfeit Christians that they are, that try to rewrite the Bible, not what they tell you what's in the Bible, but what is what is actually in the Bible. The Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman will interpret the Bible the way it really is, the way it's meant to be. Last but not least, we have Sexuality, a Holistic Approach by William J. Eisenman, Doctor of Divinity. So, like I said before, this is the best way to be a part of this organization. Get your free annual subscription with your gift to support this work, Newsletter Censored. Get it now. You need Newsletter Censored. We are living in the end times. Learn how to defeat a conservative. You need Newsletter Censored in the end times. Believe me, you need it. There's nothing else like it out there. When you go to newslettercensored.com, simply click on the printable order form, and with your gift to support this work, get your free annual subscription. Also, you can find out, you can go to Dr. Bill for President. Yes, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is running for the third time as a progressive independent, and he will teach you how we need to take the money out of politics, and that's how you remove the corruption from politics. And he will also teach you how to write in a candidate. Very important. Okay, and that is there too. Also, don't forget to go to Google and check out every show, every reading that was ever done by William J. Eisenman, Ph.D., and we're talking about Censored on Demand, Archive Classics, and The God Project on Demand. You can listen to every show that was ever done. You can listen to it as many times as you want. You can pause. You can go back to it. You never miss a show. You never miss a reading when it comes to Mega Life 21 and Newsletter Censored. Of course, check out our Facebook profile. It's open to the public to see. Our Facebook promo page is simply Facebook. Excuse me. Facebook.com/Newsletter Censored. Okay. And of course, we're proud of the people that we endorsed and promoted at the beginning of this show. Honest Craft Beer Reviews, and doing a promo from XavierGifts.com. And it's all good. Like my friend Tony Testosterone always says, it's all good.
It's all good.
Except he sounds like Mike Tyson. He says it's all good, man. It's all good.
By the way, Seinfeld last night.
What was the episode?
Was the one where Jerry's new girlfriend painted the picture of Kramer.
Oh, yeah. The with that stupid look on Kramer's face.
And
the hair sticking up.
The rich woman and the rich guy, the old geezers, they all both had different opinions of the painting, but they both wanted the painting because they just loved it.
Remember?
Kramer.
Well, that's how art is. You get the right rich person that just really digs what you did and loves it. There you go. It's all uphill. It's all your your popularity as an artist will skyrocket. Now, the other episode that cracked me up is when Kramer went to the dentist and he was full of Novocaine, and he was wearing those new athletic boots that have the weight in the athletic sneakers, rather, that have all the weight in the front to strengthen your tibula and fibula area. I think it's to prevent shin splints, or it's some kind of training device. Anyway, Mel Torme thought he was retarded, and he was doing a fundraiser for the mentally challenged. Is that what they call them today? Mentally challenged people. And everything is something challenged now. So he invited him to be on TV with him, to sit next to him as like a poster boy for mentally challenged people. And meanwhile, Kramer was full of Novocaine. And he was like talking like, he was talking like this, and he had those funny sneakers on that looked like Frankenstein shoes.
Oh boy.
And they thought he was mentally challenged. And that's where I told you, when they were in the taxi, Mel Torme says, "You live alone?" And he says, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, I just think that's the tops, man. You're independent." That reminded me of Republicans.
Yeah.
The guy's supposedly disabled, and he lives alone, and he's independent. And the people with money, they love to hear that, because they're so fucking stingy and greedy with all their millions. They love the idea that there's no social programs and they don't have to help anybody, because the money becomes an obsession.
And they made a virtue of it.
And they turned it into a virtue. Greediness is a virtue. Selfishness is a virtue, like the reading that you did one time. Selfishness is a virtue. This is what conservative Republicans like to do. They like to pull the Ayn Rand routine and make all these negativities a virtue. Another excuse for them not to pay taxes and not to help anybody. You see the obsession.
Well, taxes are not to help anybody.
What are they for?
Taxes are to run the country.
All right. How do you help people that are unfortunate in a democracy?
That's an issue. That's not the issue.
Let me make myself useful.
Okay.
Taxes
are to run the country.
Right.
All right. If you're a corporation, you need the courts to protect whatever you want to protect. That costs tax money.
Right.
You want a railroad train? Costs tax money.
Military budget,
costs tax money.
maintain the roads, the highways and byways.
Exactly. So, because we are not a Christian nation,
No,
we have poor in the nation. And if you don't want them, if you happen to say you don't want them dying in the street, then there must be a way to provide for them so that they don't die in the street. Because if they die in the street, then you'll have to bury them. You'll have to pay for that somehow, some way. In the Bible, it's in the end time, there'll be so many dead bodies, nobody will be able to bury them because of pestilence and radiation sickness, and disease, and etc. that follows war.
War?
The bodies will be piled up.
War? What about the end of this year when we get the solar storms, the solar flares, and what if it knocks out a major grid or more than one grid, and then all of the nuclear power plants have a meltdown? And being that many Americans don't live too far from a nuclear power plant, and you have all these Fukushimas all over the United States
popping off, yeah.
You don't. I don't think you'll necessarily have to wait for the Great Tribulation for bad things to go down. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's all part of it. It's all part of it.
Yeah.
That whole scene.
But the oceans dying, the pollution, the holes in the ozone layer, the rainforest dying, and the Republicans keep on saying, like Santorum and Mitt Romney keep on saying over and over that it's a myth. Global warming is a myth. Holes in the ozone is a myth. Rush Limbaugh once said on the radio that, it doesn't matter if they kill dolphins and whales, because the fact that dolphins and whales are supposed to be intelligent is a liberal lie. They say it's a myth. Oh, they're really very stupid. And you see, anything to make a buck.
Not an honoring of life.
Anything to make a buck. People like Rush Limbaugh are all for it. They don't care if it's at the expense of the planet. They don't care if it's at the expense of children, of people, poor children, animals.
The buck over life.
The planet. They don't care about life. They don't care about nothing.
Profits before people.
It's profits before everything, not just people. It's despicable. Their God is money. They've replaced everything, even their own well-being. Did they ever think that far in advance about their own well-being?
No, they don't. They don't think.
If the planet goes downhill, they don't think, right?
They don't think. I think I'm going to sneeze.
Hey, I burp on the air. That's a sneeze.
That's a sneeze.
Oh, my sneezes are loud, man. They have gusto in them. It's a huge achoo.
You want me to lose my soul?
It's a huge achoo. Oh, you believe that?
Don't you lose your soul when you sneeze?
You know who was achoo on Sanford and Son? Pat Morita, the Mr. Miyagi from the Karate Kid, played the Japanese takeout owner. His name was Achoo. And remember, and there was one time him and Fred went into business, and they turned Fred Sanford's house into a Japanese restaurant. That was funny. You had Red Fox in a kimono.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty sight. Anyway, get back to the articles. I'm sure you got some juicy ones there. Any bloated Chris Christie or Rick Santorum articles today?
I hope so, but I don't know until I reach them.
Because Santorum, he's the only person in a long time that has actually made me forget about Chris Christie.
Since the United States Supreme Court's decision, Citizens United, I have watched in horror as super PACs have begun the destruction of our electoral process, the bedrock of a democratic society. Until now, it seemed that only satirist Stephen Colbert had ridiculed and exposed their insidious effect. Now, this gentleman that he's referring to, who wrote another letter, has laid out the rational case against this decidedly undemocratic institution. What we need next is a huge public outcry and a concentrated effort by concerned senators and representatives to undo legislatively the damage that has been done. Well, you can keep wishing for that to happen. That ain't going to happen. Okay?
No.
All right, let's change the pace a little bit here. Researchers have concluded that a giant golden-spotted monitor lizard discovered in the forested mountains of the Philippines is a new species.
And this is a large monitor? Really?
Yeah.
And
There's a
really?
little picture of it here, I'll give you.
Never discovered before? Because I love reptiles, man. And I know there are many species of monitor lizards throughout the world. And of course you have some big ones out there in Indonesia and Australia, and of course Komodo being the largest and most dangerous.
The 6.5-foot long lizard,
That big, wow.
was first spotted in 2004 in the Sierra Madre mountains on the main island of Luzon.
That's where Manila, the capital city of Manila, is
Philippines,
located.
yeah. When local researchers saw Agta tribesmen carrying one of the dead reptiles. But it took until last year to determine that it was a new species. After capturing an adult, researchers from the University of Kansas and the National Museum of the Philippines obtained DNA samples that helped confirm the lizard was new to science. The northern Sierra Madre forest monitor lizard, or Varanus, or Varanus.
That's the Latin word for monitor. Yeah.
Varanus bitatawa.
Okay.
Bitatawa.
Yeah. Don't strain yourself trying to pronounce it properly.
Feasts on fruits and snails
Really?
rather than carcasses.
You mean a vegan? No, an omnivorous vegetarian. Really? Because monitor lizards are usually predatory and carnivorous, but they're also opportunistic because they have been known to eat carrion, dead animals, like a vulture, you know.
Unlike its larger relative, the Komodo dragon.
There you go.
According to researchers who wrote about the discovery, Wednesday, peer-reviewed Royal Society Journal Biology Letters. That's what he wrote about. Here, you can have a picture of the...
No. Finish the article.
It's done.
It's done?
Yeah, it's just a small article.
Okay, hold on. I want to do this right here. All right. This is the...
That's the...
all right. Let me see if I can show the people. Hold on.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know if you can...
I don't know if you can make it out.
I don't know if you can make it out. Let me try to get close.
It's only like his head and one of his paws anyway.
All right.
If you call
I'm
him
not
a
sure.
paw.
Yeah, there's the photo. I don't know how well you can make it out, people, but the photo of the monitor lizard. All right. Here.
The first modern humans to leave Africa 80,000 years ago
Right.
encountered Neanderthal settlements in the Middle East, and on at least some occasions chose to make love instead of war.
Sort of a caveman Kama Sutra.
Yeah, they got together.
Gee, I wonder if I wonder what kind of position. They probably just do doggy style, like animals do, being that they were primitive early
According
man.
to an international team of scientists who have pieced together the genetic code of humanity's closest relatives. Traces of that ancient DNA live on in most of human beings today. The finding, which was made by analyzing DNA from Neanderthal bones and comparing it with that of 5 living humans, appears to resolve a long-standing mystery about the relationship between Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, who coexisted in Europe and Western Asia for more than 10,000 years, until Neanderthals disappeared about 30,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We can now say with absolute certainty that we've got these Neanderthal genes. They're not them anymore. They're us.
Mm-hmm.
Svante Pabo, the geneticist at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Leipzig, Germany, who spearheaded these studies, said he now sees his ancestors in a new light. His initial research on a different type of DNA that contains far less information had concluded, incorrectly, it turns out, that Neanderthals have no genetic connection to people alive today. Now, Pabo said, I would more see them as a form of humans that were a bit more different than people are from each other today. Most important, scientists said, knowing the precise structure of the Neanderthal genome will help answer the fundamental biological question, what makes us human?
Mm-hmm.
Neanderthal DNA is 99.7% identical to that of people according to the analysis, which involved dozens of researchers. Something in the remaining 0.3% must make us unique. It's not about understanding Neanderthals, said genome biologist Ed Green, who led the study as a research fellow in Pablo's lab and is now at the University of California, Santa Cruz. It's understanding us. Okay?
All right. It's getting a little noisy here from the meeting, so interesting. So anyway, okay. Any heavy duty
Let me go to something here
political?
about Mr. Santorum.
Yeah, since he's in the spotlight, unfortunately, of course, the American media is giving plenty of face time and attention to these right-wing zealots.
Newark Mayor Cory Booker,
Very articulate, well-spoken man.
but he said some 5 years ago, I believe it was, that he would clean up Newark. No more homicides, etc.
Clean up Newark?
Yeah.
So
Have we seen it in the last 5 years?
Do you think he might be another David Dinkins?
Possibly.
When David Dinkins was mayor of New York?
With a little more charisma, maybe. But
a lot more charisma, yeah.
Possibly. He said on Tuesday that Republican presidential candidate Rick, the Santorum Santorum, that's a mouthful,
belongs in a sanitarium.
has warped our path, in arguing that faith should have an influential role in American governance.
No, everybody pays taxes in America. Hindus,
in the
Muslims.
Constitution, it says there shall be no religious test for office.
Because not one penny of taxpayers' money should go to any faith-based initiative, because no one has been able to prove that their God exists. Even though Ken Create says, take a look at a seed becoming an acorn, becoming a giant oak tree. That's the miracle of creation. That's proof enough. It's still not concrete proof that anybody's God exists. So you cannot involve church and state. You cannot combine church and state.
The issue surfaced with Santorum's remarks on ABC's This Week television interview show. Santorum said he almost threw up when he first read a famous 1960 speech by John F. Kennedy, in which the then Democratic candidate for president assured Americans that his Catholic faith would not affect his decisions as president or undermine the separation of church and state.
Right. Nobody wants a zealot religious fanatic running...
Well, 35% of the Republican Party do.
The United States? No, we don't want somebody telling us how to live our lives and what to do. That's fascism, isn't it?
Religious fascism.
Religious fascism. This guy is nuts. If there's anybody who deserves to get cracked by my shillelagh, is Rick Santorum. Stay out of our homes and our bedrooms, you crazy religious zealot nut. Okay, and by the way, a fertilized egg, people that support the right wing, a fertilized egg and a fetus that breathes like a fish is not a human being.
On Tuesday, Discussing one topic among many in a meeting with the Record's editorial board, Booker said that an explicit separation of church and state helps guard religious freedoms for everyone. I bristle at the idea that people will try to infuse one particular faith on our broader political context, he said. Booker referred, to a quote attributed to Nobel Prize-winning author and playwright Sinclair Lewis. When fascism comes to America, it will be wrapped in the flag and carrying a cross. Indeed. It is, already. When pressed on whether he felt that shadings of fascism were entering the GOP race for the presidential nomination, Booker said that inference was more extreme than he intended. Whether you want to term that as fascistic, I wouldn't go that far, he said. But I would say that it is something that we need to fight against. Booker said that the principle of separation of church and state was long established. I'm a guy that never really holds back on my faith, and it infuses my worldview, Booker said. But I think the fundamental aspect of my faith, first and most important fundamental idea of fidelity. Booker, a Democrat, but nonpartisan in his capacity as Newark's mayor, said that none of the current crop of Republican presidential candidates adequately represents grassroots Republicans. We're in very dangerous territory. If you think the current candidates speak for the Republican Party, Booker said, we're in very dangerous territory. I think we're in a very bad place in the American political dialogue. I really do. You have people like Rick Santorum, who have now gained the space in the common conversation and has so warped our path and so seems to try to undermine the religious liberties of us all. The Santorum campaign did not respond to the request for a comment.
He's a religious nut. He's a zealot. These people have to be stopped.
Yeah.
What right do they have to push their religious beliefs on other people, since they cannot prove that their God exists or that their interpretation of the Bible is the correct one? You know what I'm saying? Like, and taxpayers come in many forms, including atheists, Hindus, Buddhists, Jews, Muslims. You know, and then of course, you know, what's going on in Iran about the Iranian Christian that is supposed to be put to death for not denouncing or stopping his faith in Iran. That adds more bigoted racial profiling fuel to the fire with these
well, that's what happens when the religion gets power.
These right-wing fundamentalists now they're talking like all Muslims are wicked and evil and everything, when in fact it's only a small amount of them. Only the, just like Christians can be crazy and wicked and evil. Mm-hmm. Right-wing fundamentalism.
No religion has the what's the word I'm looking for here? They all have evil in it.
They are all subject to fanaticism and insanity and right-wing fundamentalism and being judgmental and thinking that God loves them the best and they are the only true religion. It's all about power and vanity.
And then getting as many people to become that religion as they can.
Right.
Like the Catholic Church tried to do with the Inquisition.
Right. And with the Catholic Church, you have you have the laws of the Vatican. They were not concerned about what was really in the Bible, like Martin Luther did in Germany, the Reformation, but they were just concerned about the laws of the Catholic Church, just like the Mormons that rang my mother's doorbell, and she let them in because they were two cute angel-faced young girls, innocent looking, and all they cared about when they were talking to her was the Book of Mormon. They didn't care about, accurate Bible interpretations. Everybody has their agenda. They want to be on top. They want the power. They want to be closer to God in their own mind, of course, than other people. It's like some entertainers are legends in their own mind. It's all about, like you said many times, vanity. All right.
Vanity and power.
Vanity and power. That's their agenda. The human race is very vile and deserves the Great Tribulation. They really do.
Well, they're only getting it because of our own, our own faults.
Right.
Not something God is inflicting per se. He's just prophesying what is going to happen because of the way you people live.
Right.
This is going to happen.
I had this...
And it will come to the point, as Matthew 24 shows, that if he did not intervene, there would be no flesh saved alive.
Well, in Genesis, God admits that he made a big mistake creating man. There's a section of Genesis that distinctly states that.
Well, the problem,
It was a
what
mistake.
happened was he soul searched, and then they had to come up with a way so that this creation could work out.
Yeah. Well, flooding the world and your Sodom and Gomorrahs did not work.
Well, they did work because the job of that was as it was with the Tower of Babel was to slow down events.
Yeah.
Or we would have entered the last days much earlier.
Because of the rapid increase in knowledge. What about the great libraries of Alexandria, Egypt, that were destroyed? Right, all the famous Greek scientists had their works, their writings, and their inventions stored there. That would have sped up.
That would have sped up the
things up.
the coming too.
Yeah,
Because when the human beings get together and work together, nothing is beyond them.
When you
That's
have
why they had to confound the languages so that it would keep us apart.
So everything had its purpose in the time frame leading up to the end times and the Great Tribulation. Everybody in history, every great, powerful leader, politician, they all had their role, right? From the Caesar to, and then you had Charlemagne, and then you had Adolf Hitler, and so on, Napoleon. Everybody had their role to play because of the time frame, right, in which everything, even G.W. Bush, which I believe accelerated things to the end,
yeah.
in the end times,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
The 8 years of Bush did a lot of damage, to say the least.
Internal.
Yeah, and people don't realize that the United States and Great Britain are part of the cursed 10 tribes of ancient Israel, Ephraim and Manasseh. And it is not God bless America and America is closer to God than everybody else. Like if you listen to Senator John McCain when he's on a talk show, he was on a talk show recently. I don't know I can't remember if it was David Letterman or if it was Jay Leno, but he's doing the flag waving, patriotic Yankee Doodle dandy, saying that every part of the world that is influenced by America is they are so grateful and appreciative to have America influencing them, because we are. It's almost like America is blessing every part of the world that it touches, and he's going on and on and on about the America this, a patriotism. We are great. We are great. People love. They really love us when we go over there and influence them and do stuff and everything. What a bunch of bullshit.
In a recent column, you wrote that when the price of a stock soars, then plummets, much of that so-called lost money never existed.
Mm-hmm.
But what about all the folks who buy a stock at, let's say, $100 and then watch it collapse to $1 per share? Where did that money go?
Yeah, right.
Answer. It went into the hands of the sellers. But this real money figure accounts for only a small proportion of the lost money. When those folks bought the stock at $100, they artificially inflated the net worth of all the shareholders, including the people who bought the stock at $1, $5, and so on. That's because brokerage statements indicate that everyone's stock is worth the last share price multiplied by the number of shares they own.
Mm-hmm.
This huge collective amount derived from the misleading multiple is the non-existent money that people believe they have lost when a stock tanks. But what if they had all sold the stock at its peak? Wouldn't that make the real money? No. That was never possible. Only the early sellers get the peak price. When sellers start to outnumber buyers, the price drops. And with many would-be sellers, the stock plummets. So shareholders find themselves back at square one, asking the same question. Where did all that money go? And remember something very important. The corporation whose stock that is gets none of that money. Only when it first issued the stock. Just like Facebook just did. Okay? It went public. And it issued all that stock.
Right.
$25 billion worth or something.
Right.
All right? They'll get that money.
Yeah.
But after that, the stock is sold to him, her, whom, and it has nothing to do with the company anymore.
So when a CEO of a corporation is criticized or attacked, and that CEO turns around and says, I had to make my decisions based on our loyalty to the shareholders. Our decisions are made based on the loyalty to our shareholders of our stock. That is bullshit.
It no longer applies after the first issue.
No longer applies.
Yeah.
So that is another way, a sleight of hand, like a magician, to take the focus, to take the target off of the corporate CEO. That the plain fact is that the CEO and his or her board of directors are just greedy, miserable scumbags, and they want to blame everything on the stockholders and the shareholders and take the attack off of the CEO. Well, it's the truth. I mean, why go? It's the truth. If the CEO is a greedy piece of shit and is wreaking havoc with the job market, and is price gouging the American consumer and not paying taxes and outsourcing everything, then that's the truth. Then, you know, the people should know about it. What else do we got? We have any...
Which has more caffeine?
Oh, a lighter subject again?
Yeah.
No, any more...
A cup of coffee?
Yeah.
Or a shot of espresso?
Well, if you have a shot of espresso, you probably are drinking less beverage by volume compared to the coffee. So the results might be surprising.
At Starbucks, the world's largest chain of coffee houses,
Yeah.
1 cup, 8 ounce of coffee
Yeah, burnt coffee.
has about 180 milligrams of caffeine.
Uh-huh.
A shot, 1 ounce of espresso, has about 75 milligrams. So even a double espresso has less caffeine than a standard cup of coffee.
So my prediction was correct, that the standard cup of coffee surpasses the espresso because of the volume of liquid, correct? And Starbucks, another American scam, they take the cheapest beans they can find and they over roast it, they burn it so you don't know the difference, and they turn around and charge you
$5.
$5 for a cup of coffee. And that whole thing, all those Italian names they use, the cafe lattes and the macchiatos, it's all a shillelagh up the ass. It's all bullshit.
It's all for show.
Italians told me you'll never catch an Italian doing something so stupid as to spending hundreds of dollars on a machine that just foams up milk for a cappuccino or a cafe latte. We boil our milk and we pour it, you know, into the espresso, and that is our cafe latte. So this whole thing with America, America.
What is it called? A Brewster or something?
What are you talking about?
The machine.
I thought it was called the cappuccino machine.
No, in the shop where the cappuccinos are served, there's a name for the guy who does it.
You know,
and it goes with the machine.
In corporate America, with this capitalism crap, they have fancy names for everybody. They give everybody a fancy title and a fancy catchphrase, and it's all, nothing is new under the sun. Let's put it that way. They keep on reinventing the wheel, and they want you to think it's new and different, so you go out and spend your money. It's all snake oil salesmanship. It's, you know, people make fun of infomercials. Well, you know what? There's a little bit of infomercial bullshit and lies in every aspect of American business. And the right-wing Republicans just love this way of doing business. You know.
I read that half the Earth's oxygen supply is produced by greenery on land masses.
Wow.
Where does the other half come from?
50% is produced by green life, plants, which are being depleted because of corporate greed. Where is the other 50% coming from? The ocean, perhaps? Evaporation of water, or am I wrong?
We'll come to it, but it's from the tiny little...
phytoplankton?
Yeah.
Phytoplankton?
And the diatoms. Stuff like that.
Tell you, maybe I'm psychic. Maybe I'm more psychic since I have the shillelagh. All of my, when I give a prediction on an article, I end up being right. All right, continue.
It comes from teensy one-cell plants that live in the ocean.
Algae, perhaps phytoplankton.
They reside near the surface where sunlight is abundant.
Photosynthesis.
These plants, called phytoplankton...
hold on. Pat old James on the back again. He's right again, I'll tell you.
Are vital to our survival.
James P. Madonna. James Piranha Madonna, right again, brother, right again.
Land-based plants need nutrients, usually found in the soil. So do phytoplankton. which get key nutrients from the water. But much of the ocean lacks these nutrients, and marine biologists call these vast areas deserts, because no phytoplankton grow there. Yet when hurricanes roil the water, nutrients are redistributed, and the little plants bloom in their wake.
Well, why do you think super health foods like spirulina and chlorella are among the world's richest nutritional source of every nutrient needed by the human body or animals? I mean, this is the most primitive first source of food on the earth before the dinosaurs is your one-celled and then multi-celled algae, phytoplankton, algae, whether it be salt water or fresh water. Now, of course, the saltwater planktons, phytoplanktons and algae contain a much higher mineral source than the fresh water, because the sea is the number one never-ending supply of inorganic mineral salts, which are converted by Mother Nature into organic minerals that are bound to amino acids, and that is nature's chelation. That is how nature chelates the minerals, which is required to be absorbed by the human body.
Green foods.
Green foods. Greens.
Green foods.
Green foods in general. Even land-based green plants are high. Alfalfa, parsley, barley grass, wheatgrass. Alfalfa being the number one land plant in nutrients, which
They're so potent, though, you have to be careful, because like wheat grass juice, you can only take a little at first. You have to acclimate your body to higher doses.
Oh, it will. The chlorophyll in green superfoods will detoxify you very thoroughly, to put it mildly. So I suggest you gradually acclimate yourself, because it will do. The chlorophyll in alfalfa, an organic alfalfa concentrate, or spirulina or chlorella, I mean, it's probably nature's best detoxifier, really, and deodorizer too. And it also has it also is a great treatment for people with anemia. There's something about chlorophyll which builds the blood, the hemoglobin.
It looks like hemoglobin. It's
It is the blood. It is the lifeblood of plants. Chlorophyll, and with the sun you have photosynthesis. We're just a wealth of information here at
a wealth.
Megalife 21. We have any more Chris Christie or Rick Santorums, or that's it for today? We thank you for joining us for this week's Progressive Discussions. It was very invigorating, like it always is. When St. Patrick's Day comes, March 17th, I will be gorging myself on all-you-can-eat corned beef brisket at Pub 46 on Route 46 East in Clifton, New Jersey. I will be there drinking a Guinness Stout and having corned beef and cabbage with no boiled potato, because then it will cause me to eat less corned beef and cabbage. And my objective is not for the business to make money. My objective is for me to get lots of luscious, succulent, high-quality food with spending the least amount of money. And that is it. That is how it's going to be, brother. Whether or not I'm going to bring the shillelagh, I don't know. Maybe not. But I will get there early when the corned beef first comes out.
Maybe you'll have to...
So if anybody wants a James P. Madonna autograph or take a photo with me...
You might have to check the shillelagh at the door.
That'll be...
because it is a weapon.
$5... no, 10. I usually get $10 for my autographs. Huh?
You'll probably have to check the shillelagh at the door.
Well,
It is a wet.
But they know me. I used to help with security when my buddy was the head bouncer there. Little Jimmy Pesto. I used to help him out.
But you can't take guns in there or weapons.
Well, it's
Especially
but it's very
on St. Patty's Day.
but it's very applicable to St. Patrick's Day. It's a blackthorn shillelagh. You know, you.
But the Irish get rowdy.
Well, I'm not Irish,
Dangerous.
but hey, see the shamrock? All right, authenticity. They get rowdy, but you know, it's kind of like it's a pretty work of art. It's shiny. For those of you that are not familiar, the Blackthorn Forest is in I think Wicklow County in southeastern corner of Ireland, and what they do is they take the choice branch or wood, and they I guess they smooth it out nice, and they put butter all over the wood, and they smoke it for several months up in the chimney of a fireplace. They let it cure, and that's how they make the shillelaghs. Of course, you have the walking stick shillelagh that you can get at XavierGifts.com, and this is the weapons grade. This is for taking people out. All right. Anyway, thank you for joining us. Say so long to everybody. Say goodbye.
So long to everybody.
Yeah, you know what? That corned beef, actually the corned beef brisket is really excellent, enjoyable, but you know, I also like hot pastrami. You know, you ever hear of a Harold's Deli of New York? They're similar to Katz's Deli. They give you a lot of meat. If you order hot pastrami or corned beef sandwich on rye,
in the old days,
they give you a huge pile of meat. Well, there's one in Lyndhurst, New Jersey, near
there
me.
used to be one up on Route 17 South.
There's a Harold's in a hotel by Medieval Times in Lyndhurst, New Jersey, off of Route 17 South. And
this was up further near Paramus.
I want to try it, but you know, even if it's bottom round corned beef, hey man, if it's free, it's for me.
And I had a pastrami sandwich there with good old Jewish rye, and
Did they give you a lot of meat?
lots of meat. It was about 2.5 inch thick.
You ate at Harold's at one time?
No, at this place up in Paramus.
Oh, okay. 2 inches. Oh no,
2.5.
I'm talking about higher than that. What do you mean 2.5 inches?
That wasn't that high.
No, it's Harold. Well, we'll see.
Could have been 3 inches, but it wasn't higher.
I don't know. You know, when people give you their opinions on where to go eat in restaurants, all right, one person's 5-star rating could be worth crap, because it's like, what is the word? It's relative. It's subjective.
That's correct. And why are all of these companies on the internet looking for people to review them?
But they're looking for some publicity, or
Obviously.
well, if they want me to review and be a restaurant critic, they have to compensate me. Plus, because if I'm going to write the article, I want to be paid. That's my time.
Yeah,
Plus, I want free food. Huh?
They can't do that, because then you are biased. You are working for them. You're not going to say something bad about them.
Okay, so they
it's got to be a independent review.
Right, but they got to give me free food.
How's that going to be independent?
Then why should I? Where is my incentive to go to the restaurant
To taste good food.
and I have to spend money in their restaurant and then write a review? Fuck that. Screw that. Goodbye.